It was wonderful having Monk as our uncle growing up.
He's got a very generous spirit.
He's one of my role models.
And no matter what happened, he kept us going forward.
Monk was president of Notre Dame for 18 years, and he advanced the university in dramatic ways.
Monk was really great with students because he kind of met them where they were.
Monk leads by example. He's a wonderful listener.
I think Monk's passion comes from his faith and being a Holy Cross priest.
I came from a high school educated family background. Both of my parents were smart, but they didn't have the opportunity to go to college. I spent a lot of time on Turkey Thicket Playground, which was a gigantic playground. Eventually they called me the mayor of Turkey Thicket, since I spent a lot of my misspent youth there on the playground. I went to St. Anthony's grade school, Carroll High School. It was a rich background. My parents didn't have much money, but we always had plenty to eat. I was in the 4th grade, and they started calling me Monk. My mother didn't like it at first, but then one of my cousins gave me a more despicable nickname, so she started calling me Monk too. I was a leader in high school. I was student body president. When I joined Holy Cross, I was always given some kind of leadership role. Then eventually, when I went to Notre Dame, I was hall president. So I had plenty of opportunity to exercise whatever leadership skills I had. After I got ordained and I finished graduate school and came back, eventually when I moved into Soren Hall, I wanted to have some fun time with students. So one thing I did is I took students out to dinner. I think that worked pretty effectively. I got to know them a lot better. I think the first thing I would say in terms of the transition between Father Hesburgh and myself was he left the university in good shape with a lot of positive momentum. We were able to do many things simultaneously that advanced the university's well-being and its prospects for the future. That we became a more effective graduate research institution, that we were effectively present to the neighborhood around us, that we had balanced budgets, successful fundraising, that we built our capacity for financial aid to a whole new level, and that we were faithful to our Catholic identity and built upon that. That gave us a visibility because of the television contract that we wouldn't have had otherwise. What it allowed us to do was to stay independent and to have a substantial amount of money coming in each year that we put into financial aid primarily. I've always been interested in cities, how they work. We took some initiatives. We met with the mayors of the cities here, with the leadership group from the city council, the county council. And we talked about how could Notre Dame be a better neighbor, what were the needs of the community. The Center for the Homeless was one example. We've only had 3 presidents in the last 72 years. Now we have the 4th. No school comes close to that. I'll leave it to historians to decide whether that was good for Notre Dame or not.
He's a beautiful witness to our faith through his witness and his leadership. And going through classes here, I decided I wanted to be a theology major because I saw how the life of faith meant to him.
You know, during Father Malloy's time, we elevated our women's programs to what we called within the NCA a full complement of scholarships. And we added a couple of sports as well to really put ourselves in a very strong position in terms of Title IX. And, you know, Monk was a serious advocate of doing what was best and right for all student athletes and both genders, quite frankly.
He's watched my journey as a student athlete, and I've had a chance to really learn from him, and it was really awesome because it's like an exclusive opportunity to be able to have a one-on-one, a more closer opportunity to learn from him on an educational level.
Monk is a mentor of mine, not because we talk all the time, but because of what I learned by watching him. There is a natural curiosity that he has, and he very much enjoys probing and understanding and learning.
I came to Notre Dame in August of 1980. sight unseen. I knew nothing about Notre Dame. I thought it was Jesus on top of the dome. And I went into Soren Hall, and Monk was one of the first people I met. I began to really get to know Monk by playing basketball. And he handled what they called Monk hoops. Every Monday and Wednesday night, we would meet at 10:15 at the steps of Soren Hall. And we would play from pretty much 10:30 till about 12:30 every Monday and Wednesday night. And Monk was an incredible player still. He had an amazing shot where he could launch from just beyond half court. He was Steph Curry before Steph Curry hit the scene. Monk's high school team won the mythical national championship. He played with John Thompson, who went on to coach on that team, went on to coach Georgetown to quite acclaim.
He's the glue that keeps our family together. He's there for all the important milestones. He likes to tell this story that he had the opportunity to take me to my first New Kids on the Block concert when I was 12. And so, of course, to me that was a big deal, and he just got just a kick out of it because it's just a different side of the world and different things than he normally would do.
In the spring of 2022, I took a freshman seminar with Father Malloy, and it was all about kind of really shaping your personal story and learning about the stories of others. It was a small class, and so Father Malloy would really facilitate these conversations around who we were as people and who we wanted to become, and kind of thinking about that both here at Notre Dame and in the wider world. So last summer I was in Uganda working with the Palliative Care Association of Uganda, which is Center for Hospice Care's partner through Global Partners in Care. And so during that time I was able to do an advocacy overview in vulnerable populations receiving palliative care. And so did a lot of really amazing work, and I was actually able to share a lot of that with Father Malloy at one point.
When we are telling Notre Dame students that they're going to be making an impact on this world, I think it's kind of an important thing for them to be doing that while they're here.
I think one of Father Malloy's greatest legacies was the connection with the community. He really worked hard to move that forward.
I was talking with Father Ted once, and I asked him what, if any, regrets he had about his presidency, and he said, well, maybe the one thing is I didn't spend enough time in the local community. And that began with working with the Board of Trustees to come up with $1 million to purchase what is now the South Bend Center for the Homeless, and helping the care for the homeless in the community.
And I think that's just one great legacy that the monk has left for us. And we're continuing to build on that momentum. In many ways, he planted the seeds, and we're seeing the fruit of his efforts even today.
It made it very easy for him to kind of close that gap between town and gown.
The University of Notre Dame is committed to promoting greater respect for human dignity. And when I think about the work of hospice, I think about the importance of human dignity.
Well, when I think of the Center for Hospice, I think of that kind of compassionate engagement with a person who just needs to be comforted, and the family that needs to be comforted, and that kind of compassionate, loving, pastoral approach. And that, I think, fits Monk to a T.
It brings me so much joy to see that work that he's done is being recognized, and I know that he has such respect and admiration for everyone at Center for Hospice Care.
You know, it's funny because post-presidency, Monk made a decision to give up a kidney. It was for a nephew, but it wasn't a direct transplant. It was giving it to an anonymous stranger, and then through this process, his nephew was able to get a kidney, and I remember him going through that process. It's emblematic of a life that has been dedicated to faith and service throughout.
Just during his tenure here and what he's done for Notre Dame and the impact that he's had and the connection he has around the world, I think it's going to be massive. People will forget
sometimes how human a person is.
What he says he's most proud of is being a priest and being a witness to his faith. And he's just this stalwart. He's just a loyal, faithful, beautiful person.
In my background about Monk, he's the most Christ-like person I've ever been around.
The Catholic faith is about how we bring everybody together.
That's really the vocation of a Holy Cross priest here at Notre Dame, to be close to the students and to understand them and to be a partner to them. And Monk does that so well, and he's done it for his whole life.
He continues to teach. He meets with students. He celebrates Mass in Soren Hall and elsewhere on campus. He's rubbing shoulders with students all the time. And he continues to be just a remarkable force for good.